Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest today is Richard Tripp, Athletic Director at West Las Vegas and also announcer for ProView Networks. And Richard, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me, man. I'm in the presence of a legend, so anytime Steve Davis asks, I'm more than willing to help out, man. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of things happening in the sports world, and we're going to talk to you with your athletic wisdom and athletic director's wisdom. And really, first of all, I just want to touch on what's happening in Las Vegas right now and where you're at, and I know there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of things, but there's a lot of questions out there, and just really starting with. Are we going to get started? How do you see this unfolding, I guess, over the next three or 4 months?
I think right now, Steve, we're still at a standstill is what I think. I know decisions have been made by the governor, by the NMAA, and like they said, it's pretty much up to each individual school district, I've had talks with Juan Carlos Fagenzi, the athletic director over at Robertson, to kind of peek in and see what they're doing, but as far as what we're doing at West Las Vegas, we're right now in a holding pattern. A lot of it has to do with the criteria that the governor has laid down in order for schools to open. So we're trying, our superintendent, Chris Gutierrez, we've met about this already, and we're right now just in a holding pattern, Steve. We're not exactly sure what we're going to do. Obviously, we got to make a decision by the 14th whether or not we're going to play sports. But first things first, and that's how we're going to open up the schools. And if we're going to have time to open up the schools based on the criteria that the governor laid down. Because one thing, our superintendent is he's very safety conscious. His thing is safety first, as I'm sure all superintendents are across the state. And so we're just trying to do what's right and what's in the best interest of not only the athletes, but the students, the faculty, the teachers, custodians, everybody. That if we're going to come back, we just want to make sure, and he wants to make sure that everybody, safety comes first is pretty much and that's where we're at right now, Steve, as far as West goes.
Well, I think a big question that a lot of people, and you can speak on this, is the word is the hybrid school. And what does that mean by hybrid, and what obstacles do you have to overcome to make it a hybrid thing that can start here by February 15th or February 22nd?
Well, that's one of the $1 million questions. Yesterday we met in the athletic directors meeting with the NMAA, the definition of what exactly defines hybrid. And pretty much, of course, you got to have 50% of your population in school at the high school. And one of the things we found out too was within that hybrid, what if an athlete chooses to stay online? And the answer at this point today, and like we know this thing, as you know, Steve, it changes pretty much every day, is as long as your school meets hybrid criteria, which is 50%, and as long as you don't have 4 cases within a 14-day period, students can be online and you can play sports if your district allows you to play. So it's pretty much 50% of your student enrollment population that has to be either every other day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or every other day, whatever your schedule dictates. So that's pretty much what the definition of hybrid is that came back to us.
So what health protocol do you have to meet to be hybrid to where, I know that I've read some articles that CDC is going to be regulating this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it, there's 4 cases per week, and if you don't meet that, then the school's shut down for 14 days, is that correct?
It's 4 cases in a 14-day period.
14 days.
At which point.
Oh, okay.
Right. 4 cases in a 14-day period, in which case you would shut down, and pretty much you stay shut down for 2 weeks or whatever. If you have to come in, if they have to sweep the school and disinfect it, whatever it is, but there is a mandatory shutdown period. and that goes for athletics and everything. So it's 4 and 14 days, and as far as the filters and all these other things, this is all new terminology to me, you know, these things that are coming out, which I'm sure it is to a lot of ADs. And schools are hustling and bustling trying to get these purifiers, these air filters installed as fast as they can. You know, they're very expensive. Some schools won't be able to afford them. I know there's a waiting list of anywhere from 6 weeks to 2 or 3 months before you can get them. And then you got to find the certified people to install them for your school district, at which times they will be, you need to have basically somebody from the State Department say you're good to go. So there's a lot of steps, you know, that still have to be met before you can even unlock the front door, I guess you can say. But no, the answer to that is 4 and 14 days, and at which point you have to shut down.
Well, you know, you brought up the big word. Ventilation is what I see, you know, I hear is really the one of the culprits for, you know, basketball and volleyball. And I know Las Cruces, there's been some articles, and there's been on, you know, been on TV, and the media has been speaking about them. You know, the things you just said, it's one, economics. You know, their budget's already been met, and you know, everybody. These are my thoughts. The fiscal year, your budget usually starts in June or July, and
Right.
to have this brought up in a matter of very quick time frame, a lot of time the economics is a big issue.
You know, it is, because we get our budgets July 1. I mean, you submit things, but July 1, whoever your business operation is, they tell you, okay, you have this much money, we have that much money, you know. And so by this time of the year, in fact, you're getting to a point where February, March, and April, a lot of school districts are kind of hanging on. You know, they're kind of like, okay, we do have reserve, we do have this, we do have that. But, you know, now you have schools reaching into their emergency reserve funds, for example, trying to buy these things. So you're right. You know, a lot of these things we didn't, and I don't know what everybody else saw coming, but I did not see this coming. You know, I didn't even know about it until I started getting these messages saying, you know, we're going to open up February 8th. We're going to start sports February 22nd. I'm like, we are? And I immediately got on the phone with our super, and we talked about it. He goes, he was just as shocked as everybody else. And then the guidelines started rolling in. We're saying, well, first, do we even have the money to buy these things? You know, here at West, we're right in the middle of a major renovation of a lot of our athletic facilities, renovating. And so that, you know, we use some of the money for that, for example. So I'm not blaming the governor. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying, you know, this kind of caught a lot of people off guard.
I'll tell you what, Richard, we're going to go to a Dream Style top 10 plays of the week, and come back and talk more about you and Las Vegas West and the decisions you're having to make right now.
You want to see running. He's on pace for 1,400 yards this season, and there's some of those yards right there, right up the middle, and he's looking at an easy run, one man to beats him for the touchdown. 45-yard touchdown by Ortiz.
First down and goal from the 10. Play action and a fade to the end zone. And well, there he is.
Block punt. Let's see if the Mustangs can scoop and score. Scoop and score, the touchdown with Western New Mexico. Number 20, CJ Bionis. Bauer the play fake. Throwing to Colson in the end zone.
Touchdown.
Touchdown.
The hot man, and why not? Looking hot, looking into the end zone, and his second touchdown already.
It's 2-0. And I think it's Johnson, and it is. So 3rd down and goal, and it's a keeper for Smith. He broke a tackle, and he's into the end.
Holy fumble. Hit by Calhoun. Ball is fumbled.
Head is one, look out, Garcia's loose. Garcia to goal for the lead, 1-0.
Go play action, rolling out to the right. Now he's going to run with it and break some tackles. Lowers his head into the end zone. What a run by Isaiah Chavez. Wow.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Welcome back to Steve Day Show. We got Richard Tripp, and we got an interesting article from, or a little quote here from James Yotis in the Albuquerque Journal. Let me read it to you. If we keep holding this carrot out in front of the kids and yank it away every time we meet because we don't have information, this state will give up on us. I think it's time we make a stand and say we support our kids. Let's let them practice on the 22nd and move forward. That's TJ Parks, superintendent of Hobbs and NMAA board member, or board president, I guess. Make sure I'm correct.
Right.
And then there's at the end of it, and you've touched on this, and it's some of it. Let me read this. Some of us may be able to start. Some of us may not be able to start.
Right.
With all those things said, how do you move forward in a positive direction?
Well, that's the thing. And I did read that statement from TJ Parks, who I have a great deal of respect for, and congratulations on his retirement, this coming year. But, there's a lot of schools will not be ready to open. And I think we're going to be one of them. I'm just guessing. But I do agree with the statement that it's time that a decision be made. And I know we are 100% in favor of the kids. We want to see the kids perform. We want, especially the seniors. I think that's the thing. We want to give our seniors their last hurrah in any way we can. It's just, a decision has to be made either way, one way or another, so that not only us, not only the schools, but the kids themselves, the parents themselves, know the future, so they can start preparing. Are we preparing to play? Or are we preparing for college? Are we preparing for life after high school? So I do agree with the statement, but I think more importantly to me, Steve, it's let's just make a decision, and no disrespect to anybody out there at all. It's just, like they say, let's rip off that Band-Aid one way or another, and let's make a decision. And yes, we hope it's in favor of the kids. But that's that's kind of like my opinion about the whole thing.
Well, just say it on the positive side. And I think, everybody, myself, ProView Networks, everybody's, you know, everybody's talked about how this has hurt the kids and programs, but it also has hurt a lot of media. It's hurt a lot of production companies. It's hurt, you know, there's a lot of people in the concession stands. I mean, people that have had their, you know, get that little, you know, do that. It affects a lot of people besides, you know, the schools and also the students. And I think the question or not the thing that's been concerned with me, if we are moving forward, you know, one, we touched on in the last segment basically is having ventilation, having economics, having, you know, the health issues to make it where it's on a daily, and then how do we overcome, you know, if a school gets COVID over the 14 days, what happens if we're playing sports, what happens, you know, what happens after that?
Well, that's a good point, Steve, because I know I read yesterday on Twitter, and Coach Lopez down at Cruces High, the football coach, was reaching out to other states, football coaches or whoever, just asking that question. What did other states, what did you do in the event this happened, whatever? And I saw Buster retweet it. It's a very, very good question. You know, and we're pretty much just saying that we're pretty much guaranteed that it's going to happen. You know, somebody's going to develop it. Is it going to be a teacher? Is it going to be an athlete? Is it going to be a non-athlete? And what do you do then? But how do we really know what the procedure is? And going back to what you started, you know, the statement with, is very good. This thing is affecting a lot of people. You know, it's affecting officials. You know, how are they? From what I understand, there's some officials that have said, you know, they don't want, or they'll only do certain sports. You know, they don't want to take the risk. You know, so it's affecting a lot of people, and financially, of course, is the biggest one. You know, game workers, PA announcers, scorekeepers. You know, it has a domino effect, I guess you can say, on the whole thing. But going back to what Coach Lopez said down at Cruces High, you know, if we're going to go forward, like you're saying, like you in the media, you have to know, are we going to cover games or not? The Albuquerque Journal, anybody associated, you know, so it's a domino effect right now. It's affecting people outside teams, outside of schools as well. You're 100% right on that, Steve.
And also in this article, James Jost points out that, you know, like, you know, even the headline says NMAA set start date, but all may not be in. How do you, I guess it's more of a question for MMA, but I mean, you've been in on the meetings and you've been listening to, you know, people have their opinions on how things should, you know, move forward. With that statement, how do you do a schedule if you don't know who's in yet?
Well, that's the thing. Right now, of course, we have no control over the football schedule. The NMAA is doing that. All they want to know is, are we in or out? And then after that, pretty much what we've decided, or according to the direction of the NMAA, is we can go ahead and start scheduling volleyball. We can schedule basketball. But, well, really, honestly, let me backtrack. They really only want you to focus on the fall sports right now. That's pretty much it. And pretty much the way it's looking, Steve, is you're pretty much just going to play your district schedule. So, like tomorrow, example for us, District 2 AAA, we're going to meet with the athletic directors and schedule the volleyball part of it. And so we're going to end up playing just your district teams because according to the NMAA, the district schedule is what's going to determine if we have playoffs, what gets you into the playoffs. So as far as that goes, scheduling actually is going to be pretty easy. Actually, if we play just the district teams, it's going to be pretty easy because a lot of districts already have their district schedules. It's just a matter of finalizing them within the time frame that the NMAA gave us.
With that being said, what if somebody in your district opts out? So then, so you don't have. Here's a hypothetical question: what if you only have 2 teams in your district that decide to play?
That's a very, very, very solid and valid question. That's why we're saying, you know, the NMAA has kind of hinted. I'm not going to speak for them and say they're going to do this, But let's say, for example, only 2 teams from your district decide to play. Then the beauty of it is, let me kind of go forward, backtrack and go forward. You can opt out of a certain sport like football, but you can still keep volleyball. You can opt out of the winter or the fall, but you can still play winter. It just depends. But going back to what you're saying is, you know, the NMAA has kind of said, well, let's just say there's 1 or 2 teams. Then there's a possibility those 1 or 2 teams might be thrown into another district. And it's not official, it's not anything like that. It's just a possibility. Because that team now, because let's say our district, us, Robertson, and Raton don't play. That leaves St. Mike, Santa Fe Indian School, and Santa Fe Prep. So they've got to compensate either one, do we play each other 4 times in volleyball, twice in football, or do we join forces with another district? So those are questions like tomorrow we're going to have a madhouse because, again, it goes back to what you asked earlier. Half of our schools don't even know if we're going to be playing or not yet. It's too soon to tell. So we're going to make the schedule. We're going to go forward with the schedule. But then on the 16th, we'll declare whether we're in or out.
Well, Rich, we're
It's
going to
very
go to
confusing.
we're going to go to a break, and we're going to talk some more about these difficult things you're going through right now.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We got Richard Tripp, Athletic Director, West Las Vegas. And again, thanks again a lot for coming on, zooming in, and how technology has changed since we started, huh, Richard?
It's amazing, man, going back from day one to here we are now. I mean, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, you know, you'd rather be in the studio live. I know that.
Hey, well, Richard, you know, there's so many moving parts, and you know, and I don't mean to put you. You're doing a great job of explaining to me and answering some questions that I have. But can you explain where the red, yellow, and green has also effect on this? I mean, it doesn't seem to be mentioned, and I'm sure that, you know, right now, red, everybody understands what red means, but, you know, what happens if it goes to yellow? Right now, this, you know, if you look at all 33 calendars, the last time I looked, I think there's 1 green and then 4 yellow. And what does that impact have on everything that we're talking about right now?
Well, right now up here where we are, we're in yellow, so it's nice to go out to restaurants and stuff. But basically, Steve, it means absolutely nothing. I mean, because that question has been brought up by athletic directors. As far as playing sports and school and all that, it pretty much means nothing. So it's just a matter of, can you, again, go back and meet the criteria set by the governor and by PED to get your schools open? But the red, green, and yellow right now mean nothing when it deals with what we're talking about. So
basically, we are kind of having an exemption. Is that a way that this, you know, I haven't had a clear understanding of that from what I've read and who I've talked with. So that's good to know, because right now in a red, you know, you can only have 5 gatherings or whatever, I mean, 5 people gathering, and that's hard to play sports when you have 2 teams, you know, basketball or volleyball or football or whatever. And I just really was concerned about that. Is that just another hidden thing that could come up later after all the information, is gathered?
That's a good point. That's a very, very good point, Steve. And that question has been brought up because everyone's asking, in the AD meetings and the coaches meetings, everyone asks. So you're telling us that regardless of where we are county-wise, February 22nd, because right now the pods are 1 to 4. So you're telling us February 22nd, we can go out there and release the hounds. We can have a full-blown football practice. We can have a full-blown volleyball practice. And let me put it this way. The answer right now is yes. So, but like you said, the governor or Pat or somebody, whoever, DOH, they can come back at you and say, well, hold on, maybe we didn't think this thing clearly. Maybe, I'm not saying they did or didn't. I'm just saying, San Miguel, you guys are dead red. Your cases are rising every day. It's our recommendation that you guys put a freeze on sports. Like you said, for right now, today, on Tuesday, February 2nd, Groundhog Day, it's good to go. Come 22nd, have at it.
Well, that's positive to hear. I wasn't real. I didn't know if that was a fact or not. Or there were, so basically, they have the go ahead and go with full practices on February 22nd.
Well, on football, let me use football as an example really quick, Steve. Football right now can go in pods of 1 to 4. But they are allowing you to wear a helmet. Starting after 2 days of practice, on the third day, you can wear shoulder pads and helmet. But the criteria is that you cannot allow the athletes to take the equipment home. It has to be stayed at the school site. It has to be sanitized on a daily basis. You cannot use locker rooms. You can't use dressing rooms. So it's up to the school to kind of figure all that out. And that's pretty much the thing going forward. Volleyball, baseball, whatever it is, no dressing rooms. It's just, everything cannot be taken home. You got to leave it there. So that's just an example, too, of what's going on right now.
Well, you just caught me off guard. I didn't realize you couldn't use the facilities. You can use the equipment, but you can't use the facilities to say that one more time. Make sure I have it in my mind correctly what you just said.
No problem. Using football as the example again, you can go in pods of 1 to 4. Any sport, actually.
Hey Richard, we're going to be running out of time. I want to thank you for coming on and answering these questions, and hopefully we can get back and we can hear Richard Tripp announcing ProView Network's ball games.
I look forward to it, brother Steve.
All right. Hey, thanks for coming on. All right. You have a good day.
ProView rocks, baby. #1.